All right, hi everybody. First of all, thanks again for having us this year at the National CSE Conference. I'm boire-lavigne. I'm the Director of Software Development at Sagemcom Canada. So today we're going to be talking about Xmedia's Fax, so it's our flagship product, and more about the cloud offering that we plan to have on our Xmedia's Fax product, and also the managed services we'll be offering. Before we go on with the presentation, I'm just going to talk a little bit about who we are, Sagemcom, because I believe most of us probably are not very familiar with us. We're a French manufacturer of telecom equipment. We have about $2 billion US revenue. We're number one in Europe for broadband terminal and also number one in Europe for IPTV setup box. So pretty big in operator market in Europe. And also we've been selected to provide next generation ADSL modem for Bell residential services. So probably you guys can hear a little more about us in the future, since we're making headways in the North American carrier market. Although I'm here today to talk to you about our enterprise products, and mainly today about our Xmedia's Fax, which is the #1 IP fax server in the world. We've been partnering with Bell for more than 10 years, and so we have quite a good track record at deploying large customer on our fax solutions. Alright, so when I'm doing a presentation on fax, I guess there's that question that we absolutely need to answer is why fax is still relevant today. So one of the things is the ubiquity of the technology. So today every company in the world still has fax machine. So it's a very convenient way to communicate documents between companies. And one of the reasons that we're still communicating a lot of legal documents between companies using fax is the perceived security value that protocol adds. And in court, a fax is a legally recognized document. And so that puts some value for enterprise in using fax for exchanging documents like purchase order, contracts, NDAs, legal claim forms, things like that. One of the reasons for that, obviously, is because it's court proven, so it's been tested in court and been rendered as a valid legal document, and also because of the real-time nature of the protocol. So if we compare it to email, you don't really get a confirmation that your email was sent and received by the remote party. In case of a fax, we have a firm confirmation that it was actually received by the remote party, and that's what makes the big difference. So that's my speech about why fax is still relevant today. So now I'm saying that there's still a market for fax, and now how that measured in terms of numbers. So if we look at the fax market in 2012, we're talking about, and I'm talking here just in terms of services. So we're talking about a little bit of the cloud, so I focus on the service part of the fax market. We're talking about $1.3 billion in overall market for the whole wide world. If we look at North America, we're talking about 500 million. So still a quite sizable market there is in the internet fax. I guess everybody pretty much has their own definition, and I'm going to say I respect, everybody's opinion. So, for example, this is my little 2 years old definition of what the cloud is. Pink, fluffy thing that flies into the sky. And, I respect that. But, more seriously, what I think the cloud is about the dematerialization of the IT infrastructure. It's removing that early link between the infrastructure, the server that I have to provide my IT services, and eliminating that link. To me, that's what the cloud is about. And so I guess the question is, is that a fact? Is this something that's going to go away? I don't think it's going to go away, because the key success factors behind the cloud are silent. I think there's mainly two big factors, cost and time saving. Obviously, moving from a CapEx investment to an OpEx investment, its expense is a big advantage in terms of flexibility for the enterprise. Obviously, cloud services are not necessarily cheaper than having your own servers or anything, but pooling your resources, there got to be some economic scale that you can reach at some point when you're sharing and pooling resources with other people. But I think the big thing in terms of cost and time saving for the cloud, and what really is a game changer in the world, is the speed to deployment. And that's really, I think, what is the most important thing about the cloud and how it changed today how we do IT. When I need to do a project, I don't need anymore to think about the infrastructure that I'm going to need to buy and justify me buying it to go ahead and make the project. I just need to say, all right, I want something, sure, no problem. I just go on the cloud and I can have a server in minutes, and I can go ahead and prove that my idea is something that's going to be valuable for my company without having to justify making a big investment. So I think that changed totally the way we do IT, and that's one of the reasons why the cloud is so powerful. Obviously, also, there's a lot of flexibility to it. Obviously, I pay for what I use, so very cost efficient from that perspective. It's going to be scalable, more or less, depending on how I choose, but there's usually a path for me to scale the way I'm using the cloud. And I think another thing that is very interesting about the cloud and in today's world, and changing world, is now companies are operating globally, and they have global workforce. And one of the things with the cloud is I got that infrastructure that is globally accessible. So when I'm trying to render new IT services, it's much easier for me to deploy that, because I know that all my employees, wherever they are, they're going to be able to access that service. First of all, they're persisting data. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge we have in the cloud, is when I'm starting persisting enterprise data into the cloud, into the hands of a third party, there's huge consequences to that. Obviously, one of them is compliance. If I have to comply to some regulation, now that complexifies a lot my process in order to become compliant. Also, there's who owns the data, right? If I put my data into the hands of a third party, who actually owns the data? What happens if I want to access the raw data because I want to move to some other services? Will I be able to do that? If I cancel my account, they say they're going to delete my data. Sure. Now, are they going to go and delete all their backups that they're keeping for years and years and years with my data? So I think there's a lot of consequences when we go into the cloud persisting enterprise data, and that's a real challenge. Also, there's security. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about whether cloud is less or more secure than enterprise network, but obviously having third parties involved, that complexify how I'm going to enforce the confidential restriction, the confidential access to data. So how that's going to be enforced by my third party, since I'm not controlling that. And what's going to happen if there's a security breach? Who's going to indemnify who? If my customer are suffering harms from a breach that resulted from a third party. So these are things that happen when we go into the cloud. And also reliability. Obviously, it's a much more complex system. Today, pretty stable, the internet, but obviously now I need my internal network to work, I need my internet link to work, the internet need to work, and the service provider need to work for everything to happen. So it's a much more complex infrastructure. Obviously, today we have that working, but obviously that presents some challenges. So in the end, to me, it's all about trust and the success of the cloud. And if we compare that to banking, right, we're putting our money in banks, and we feel more or less these days comfortable with the idea of putting our money there. And it's okay. And I think in the cloud, it's going to be the same thing. At some point, we're going to get good feeling about all enterprise to give us their data and put it in the cloud. But that will only happen when we build enough trust with it.